All right, guys, happy Friday. If you're following along and doing these with us on the same days that they're posted, you're allowed to do them whenever you want, but just in case. So we're going to be talking about point of view today. So you guys are going to do that. We're going to do this lesson together here. It's called, sorry. It's just called point of view on Edmentum, and then you'll do the practice and quiz by yourself. So if we go here, here's our lesson for the day. Hopefully it loads. Here we go. So I can identify who is telling a story and their point of view. So what is the point of view in the story? So let's go ahead and get started.
Point of view is the way a person sees or thinks about something. People who all have different points of view may feel differently about the same event. All stories are told from a point of view. Sometimes stories are told from the point of view of a character in the story. At other times, a narrator tells the story. The point of view of a story may change how a character, setting, or event is described.
And I know in my class, we have not gone over this yet a whole lot, and we will go over this more. So this is, if you don't understand this very well yet, that's okay. This is just kind of an introduction, and we will get more into this when we come back from fall break.
Let's look at the same story told from 3 different points of view. As we listen to this first passage, let's try to figure out who is telling the story and their point of view. Finally, it is Wednesday. This has been a really long week. I wonder what time the package will arrive. Let me check that everything is ready. I dash into the spare room. The space is clear and ready for me to unpack everything. I just can't wait to start practicing. That's the doorbell. I race downstairs and open the door. "Morning, delivery for Aiden Williams," says the driver. "That's me. Where do I sign?" "Just here. There are a lot of boxes and some of them are heavy," he explains. "Mom, Dad," I call. "My drum kit is here. Can you help me get it into the house, please?" To find out the point of view of the story, you need to know who is telling the story. Let's look for clues. The person telling the story uses I and me throughout the passage. This tells us that they are a character in the story. The delivery driver says the package is for Aiden Williams, and the person telling the story says, "That's me." So, we know that the person telling the story is Aiden Williams. What is Aiden's point of view on the drum kit arriving? Let's look for clues. What does Aiden say or do? He dashes and races around the house and can't wait to start practicing. Aiden's point of view is that he is excited about the drum kit arriving. Let's listen to the same event told from another point of view. Wednesdays are my favorite day. It is my day off work. I like to relax on the porch in the morning sunshine, enjoy my coffee, and read a good book. Oakland Avenue is so quiet. All I hear are the birds singing, just how I like it. I wonder what that van is doing next door. It looks like they're getting a delivery. Aiden looks very excited. I have just overheard Aiden say it is a drum kit. They can be very loud. Oh dear. I do hope they have some soundproofing and Aiden remembers how much I like my peace and quiet. Oof, this is worrying.
Okay, so obviously here it's a different point of view, right? And so Aiden, who is very excited about the drum kit, his neighbor, I'm guessing that's who we're talking about here, is not so excited about the drum kit. So let's hear and see what he says.
Let's look for clues about who is telling the story. The person telling the story uses I and my, which means they are a character in the story. They also tell us that a van has arrived next door, and Aiden looks excited. So, we know the person telling the story is Aiden's neighbor. She is called Mrs. Wilson. Aiden's neighbor, Mrs. Wilson, will have a different point of view about the arrival of Aiden's drum kit. What is Mrs. Wilson's point of view? Let's look for clues. What does she say or do? Mrs. Wilson says she likes peace and quiet. Her point of view is that she is worried the drum kit will be loud. Let's look at one more point of view of this event. It was Wednesday on Oakland Avenue. Aiden was out of bed and getting ready for his special delivery. Next door, Mrs. Wilson was enjoying the early morning sunshine on her porch. She really liked the peace and quiet. A van pulled up outside the house on the corner, and Aiden rushed to the door. It was his drum kit delivery. He was very excited about practicing and called to his mom and dad to help him get the boxes inside.
So if you pay attention here, there's no I or me pronouns in this. It's he and Mrs. Wilson and things like that. So think about whose point of view this could be in.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Wilson couldn't help but hear about the drum kit delivery. She bit her lip and frowned. She was worried about the noise. Mrs. Wilson hopes Aiden will respect her wishes for peace and quiet. Let's look for clues about who is telling the story. The person telling the story uses the characters' names and describes them as he or she. The person telling us the story is a narrator. The narrator tells the story without becoming involved or sharing his or her feelings. The narrator is not a character in the story and doesn't have a point of view on the event, but does share information about the characters' points of view. The person telling the story was different in each of the three passages. In the first passage, the story is being told by a character, Aiden Williams. In the second passage, the story is being told by a character, Aiden's neighbor, Mrs. Wilson. In the third passage, the story is being told by a narrator. They all had a different point of view about the event. The author's point of view changed how the event was described, because they each have different feelings or information. To find a story's point of view, first figure out who is telling the story. Look for clues. Is it a character in the story or a narrator? Next, find their point of view. If a character is telling the story, look for clues. What do they say or do? If a narrator is telling the story, look for information about the characters' points of view.
Okay, so there's our little lesson there. So I'm going to show you guys here with your practice. It's all about point of view. So you can just skip through the lesson if it makes you do the lesson.
Point of view is the way of reading the three passages about Abigail and Carter. First, read a rainy day. Next, read wet and wild. Finally, read damp and dripping. So
you guys are going to have to read through this here and make sure you scroll down and you read the whole thing. And then you decide, let's get down to the bottom. You read all three. Then when you go to the next,
drag the stories into place. Select the book button to look at the stories again.
So here you'll come back.
Think about the point of view of each story. Is the person telling the story a character or a narrator?
Okay, so you'll drag what you think, and then if you need to go back and look at the book, you just hit this again, okay? And then you hit the X to get back to the questions. Okay, so that is your last lesson for this week. We are looking forward to seeing you all back, and thank you guys for hanging out with me this week, and we will see you Monday morning. Bye.